The college basketball experience, Big Ten realignment. Who will have the most success over the next 5 years? Edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win 325 times your entry with their new Pick 8. Sign up today using the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick and first-time deposit offer up to $250 bonus in cash. Underdog Fantasy promo code TCESGPN. And we're also brought to you by Rhythm. Build your own betting model using their AI betting engine. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That is the sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. And welcome, everybody, to the college basketball experience. Big Ten Conference Realignment. Go check out the MAAC. Go check out the SEC. Go check out, what was the other league we did? Oh, the WCC. Yeah, all the leagues are blended together. I don't know who's in what league, but I do know my name. I am Moneyline Mac, a.k.a. the former video coordinator for Bob Huggins and Frank Martin. And because we're talking Big Ten, we got to bring in this guy. Oh, let me play my music. Let me put my theme music.
It's Mac tonight. Come on, make it Mac tonight.
And like I said, we're talking Big Ten. So we got to bring in the Big Ten guru because, we don't know which team he's really a fan of, whether it's Purdue, Michigan. But you guys know him as Mr. TCE himself, the co-host of the College Basketball Experience and the host of the College Baseball Experience, Noah B77. Noah, what's up, man?
What's going on, Mac? Yes, this is my league right in my backyard. Very excited to talk about it. The Big Ten. As conference realignment and conference expansion for the Big Ten goes, we're maybe a little bit, not a little bit, a very big villain in this aspect of completely destroying the current landscape of college athletics as we know it at the high major for college basketball. If those that are living under the rock don't know, UCLA, USC, Oregon, Washington, all are leaving the Pac-12 as the Pac-12 disintegrates. All four of those institutions are joining the Big Ten. We're going to talk about the headlines for all four of those teams, also some other bigger headlines here in the Big Ten, just for preseason discussion. And then at the end of the episode, not really the end of the episode for this one, just about 15 minutes in, we're going to start drafting these teams, all 18 of them, based on the amount of success that we predict they will have over the next 5 years. Mac, I think the biggest headline when it comes to basketball and school joining the Big Ten, it's got to be UCLA and their 11 national championships as they enter the Big Ten with Mick Cronin, a Midwestern guy, born in Cincinnati, Ohio, at the helm here, a head coach of the Bruins. Cronin has taken the Bruins to the Final Four in one of his 5 seasons, and it also includes three straight Sweet 16s during that 5-year span. What are your thoughts as UCLA enters the Big Ten?
First off, I almost fell asleep trying to read off all these team names in this league. Now, this is the biggest conference, 18 teams. UCLA, though, like you said, did really disappointing year. I mean, it was the first time Mick Cronin had not been to the NCAA tournament since, I think, 2009 or, 2010. I don't expect that to continue. I expect UCLA.
It was
to
a
be
very
back.
young team last year.
Yeah, they were young. I expect UCLA to be UCLA again next year and for years to come. So I kind of think for Mick Cronin, it's kind of the perfect fit. He gets back in. Yeah. I know that we live in the transfer portal era where high school recruiting isn't as valued as it once was, but a lot of ties that Mick has are in Ohio and Kentucky. He was an assistant at Louisville. Obviously, head coach of Cincinnati and assistant coach of Cincinnati. So kind of back in geographically where he grew up and where his roots are. So I kind of like the fit from Cronin and his staff being the West Coast team in this Midwest league.
Yeah, he 100% gets the best of both worlds. You don't need to leave LA as you would like to live out in
Yep.
SoCal and in the months that you're in your off season, but also you get to come back home for multiple months out of the year in the Big Ten here in the regular season. And I think it's going to fit him well because he also knows a lot of the recruiting land. So a lot of the places all over the country here, as the Big Ten now spans from the Pacific Coast to the Atlantic Coast. I think UCLA is a tremendous addition basketball wise. The next one, it also in Los Angeles, the other LA school, Eric Musselman takes over as the head coach of USC basketball after Andy Enfield dipped for SMU. Musselman is a West Coast guy, and he has 4 second weekend appearances under his belt during his 9-year college coaching career. Entering his 10th year as a college basketball head coach, Musselman and USC will do what in year 1? And what are your thoughts of this move as well?
So this is a 5-year episode, so this is perfect. Musselman will be taking another job at the end of this 5 years. So yeah, he's a 4 to 5 year guy. But yeah, I thought the must bust USC basketball will be entertaining. I kind of think that they'll be a tournament team year in and year out. We know the must bust can get it done in the portal, blend guys together with his NBA background. He did it at Nevada as well, Arkansas. He's a maniac, but he's gonna jolt some energy into that fan base in that university in a short time.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you there. He is going to be, the must bus is a little bit of a energy bunny, as some say, and hopefully I would like to see USC's fan base rejuvenated here for the basketball side of things. DB Cooper in the YouTube chat says Washington was already struggling with the Pac-12. They're going to be alive in the Big Ten, he says. Washington, they decided to fire Mike Hopkins, who is their former head coach, as they enter the Big Ten here after just 1 year at Utah State. Granted, it was a great one as the Aggies destroyed preseason expectations, winning the Mountain West regular season championship. Danny Sprinkle takes over as the head coach here of Washington. He grew up in Pullman, Washington. He's now coaching in Seattle. Also, Sprinkle played 4 years of college basketball at Montana State. He then coached at Montana State for only 4 years. Then he left. He dips out of Utah State after just 1 year. Mac, I kind of have a question for you. How loyal will Danny Sprinkle be here to Washington? And does that even matter as Washington enters this transition period? Are they just looking for some short-term success, rebuild the program? Or do you think Sprinkle is going to be here for the long term? What are your opinions here on the hire, first off, and two, Washington moving into the Big Ten?
I definitely think Sprinkle wants to be here long term. I mean, he's from the state of Washington. But they're definitely getting an upgrading coach. I mean, Danny Sprinkle can coach, and Mike Hopkins, it was not talent was not the issue there. So they fell short of expectations year after year. The only thing with Sprinkle, the little bit of knock is he only did it 1 year at Utah State. We've talked about it at coach proof plays, whether it's Craig Smith, Ryan Odom that's at VCU now. So he kind of took over I know he had to rebuild 12, 13 new guys, but everybody gets it done at Utah State. But he's a guy, he's going to bring some energy into that program. He's a no nonsense guy, high energy guy as well. He brings over Great Ospar, paid Great Ospar, great deal. But I honestly don't blame him for wanting to pay Great Ospar because it's like, hey, man, you got me this job. So by winning Mountain West Player of the Year, so I'll throw you a bone, even if you technically aren't worth that from a ROI standpoint. But yeah, Washington's an interesting one. I feel like they should be a lot better than they are, but they aren't even the premier team in their own state anymore. Gonzaga is.
Yep. 100%. And David Matola in the YouTube chat, he goes, great hire for USC, hiring Musselman. But the biggest question is, how do the Trojans replace the big void? NBA draft pick Bronny left. I mean, what the fuck?
How did they get so many draft picks on that shitty ass team that they
I know. The fourth one, I mean, Oregon is kind of flying under the radar here on the news headlines as they enter the Big Ten. And head coach Dana Altman has just been continuing to deliver winning seasons in Eugene, 9 NCAA tournament appearances in his 14 years there with the Ducks. Will that success translate to the Big Ten for Altman in Oregon?
Why not? It's Dana Altman. He gets it done wherever he goes. Shit, they should have went to the freaking Sweet 16 last year. They blew that Creighton game.
Yeah, we were
still
both on
better
that.
about it. And then they didn't even cover in double overtime.
No.
Like 8-point spread.
That was the biggest joke of a game.
Oh, it was the biggest dick punch ever. It's like, come on, man. Like, really? We're not going to cover an 8-point spread in double overtime when you should have won the game outright. But, I mean, all Dana Altman does is win. He's been to a Final Four there. He's been to Elite Eights. He's been to Sweet 16s. He won at Creighton, won at Kansas State. So, he's been a head coach so long. He coached in the Big Eight. He replaced Lon Kruger at K-State. Then he had a great run in the Missouri Valley, then the Pac-12. Now he's in the Big Ten. As long as he wants to coach, man, I think Oregon will continue to win that 19 to 23 wins a year, 18 to 23 wins a year, and be right there. If they they don't need a high seed because Altman's proven it time again that he can get an 11 seed to the Sweet 16.
Yep, good point. And, that kind of wraps up the realignment headlines that we have. There were 2 new head coaching hires in the Big Ten that we can talk about a little bit here in the preseason. A lot of the other kind of smaller headlines for each team will go over more throughout this preseason of college basketball. But Dusty May hired away from Florida Atlantic to Michigan, and then Jake Diebler, the assistant under Chris Holtmann, gets the head coaching job at Ohio State. Of those 2 hirings, which one's your favorite? Which one do you think will have a little bit more success here in their tenure?
Could you guys tell that Noah wanted to just get through those first 4 newcomers so we could talk Michigan, Ohio State? I'd like Dusty May more. Dusty May, I think people forget how bad FAU was prior to Dusty May. So, and I like that Dusty May brought Mike Boyden on his staff. So
yeah, he has a hell of a coaching staff.
Yeah, and Dusty May knows what he's doing. I mean, you kind of look at Mike White's career from like when he really started regressing a little bit. It was when Dusty May got that FAU job. So Dusty May was his right-hand man. And I just think he's going to do a good job at Michigan. He's not a Michigan guy. He was an Indiana guy, but he understands the Big Ten. He understands that part of the country. And like I said, he hired a good staff. Diebler, on the other hand, I thought he did a great job last year, but it's sometimes you can catch lightning in a bottle, and I'll take the 4-year, 5-year sample size of what Dusty May did versus 11 games of what Diebler has done.
Diebler's the Rodney Terry of the Big Ten, you could say. Of course, not really the amount of duration of time being an assistant coach at the stop or just around the country as Terry, but Diebler, you could say the assistant coach stepping into the head coaching role after being an interim kind of seems similar to Texas. And you got the big brand, the big football brand hiring the assistant on the basketball program. That's going to kind of wrap up the headlines that we wanted to touch on here at the beginning of the show. Also, Dusty May, he did spend some time in Ypsilanti at Eastern Michigan, so I did want to mention that. But yeah, ultimately he's a Hoosier guy, so we'll see how that one goes. We'll on the flip side of this episode, we'll be ranking all 18 Big Ten teams based on our prediction of their success that they'll have over the next 5 years. But before that, I need to tell you about Moonoff and Chris, who are getting you ready for the NFL season on the Propcast. They got episodes dedicated to season-long props and the awards market. Go over there, check out CJ Sullivan on the Bottom Line Bombs as he continues on his road to 10 million as well. Tune in on both of those shows or any show over on the SGPN app or wherever you get your podcasts. The college basketball experience is also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Pick 8 is now live. Create entries up to 8 picks, and Underdog will automatically double flex your entries so you can miss up to 2 picks and still win your entry. With more picks to make and extra ways to win, the excitement is higher than ever. Plus, the best part is that you can win up to 325 times your original amount. You can now use the special picks and boosts that you get. You can use them in the flexed entries, so don't miss out on that opportunity before it's gone. Sign up today with the promo code TCE SGPN to claim claim your special pick plus first-time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. Circa Sports is back with Circa Survivor and Circa Millions, giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes. And of course, Circa contests have no rake. Circa Millions pick 5 NFL teams against the spread each week and compete for $6 million. Or you can join the Survivor contest. If you can survive the NFL gauntlet, you could have your chance to claim the $10 million prize. Sign up in person at Circa Sports between now and September 7th and use a proxy to play from anywhere. We even have a deal with footballcontestproxy.com to save you $50 with promo code SGP. Don't have a trip booked for Las Vegas yet before football? The Ultimate Contest Weekend is a great time to go out, hang out with Ryan and Sean from the Sports Gambling Podcast, and enjoy some of the open bar events at the greatest sports book in the world, August 22nd through the 24th. And we are back here on the College Basketball Experience. Noah Bieniek joined alongside Moneyline Mac, Ryan McIntyre, and we're getting ready to rank all 18 Big Ten teams based on the likelihood of their success over the next 5 years. College sports, the landscape is ever-changing. 5 years is a perfect time to judge based off of one recruiting class and also just kind of the tenure of a head coach and how successful it is going. Moneyline Mac, anything else that you want to say before we get started with this draft?
Yeah, go ahead. Who do you want to take first? We all know you've been chopping at the bit to select your first overall pick. Your Zach Edey boys.
Yeah, you conceded the first overall pick to me in the Big Ten via the MAAC draft that we did earlier tonight. Very, very courteous of you. I appreciate that a lot. And I'm going to go with the program that has ran this conference for the last couple of years with the Purdue Boilermakers. And I mean, Matt Painter just continues to churn out great winning seasons and be a very steady, consistent coach, and he's given some really ceiling years as well, some top 4 seeds in the NCAA tournament. He's just got a recipe that he continues to follow with Purdue, and I think next year they're going to have a great year with Braden Smith heading the show, and he's going to really be able to shine and break out as Zach Edey kind of stole that kind of limelight from Smith, and I really think he's going to have a great year. But moreover than not, I mean, Painter's just going to keep reloading at the center position with just tall bean poles. He's got another one with Daniel Jacobson, I believe the name is. He was competing in some Team USA competitions, looking great over there. And 3 years with a big man that's not really going to break any NBA lottery type talks, I don't think. And, at least 3 of the next 5 years, I think Purdue's going to be right back in there at the top of the Big Ten talks. And give me the Boilermakers, number 1 overall in the Big Ten draft.
Yeah, no, I mean, easy decision. Painter's been there for 2 decades now. He's been a model of consistency. They are the premier program in this league. They get knocked because they're boring. I mean, at times I get sick of watching them a little bit too, but you can't argue with the results. You can't argue that they've been a top 5 program over the last pretty much decade. I mean, they all that was missing was the postseason success, and they put those demons away this last year, getting all the way to the national championship. And it was too bad that they couldn't get it all the way done, because for a school like Purdue, it's hard to get to the national championship. I mean, it was a once in a dream come true for the dream season for them to get to the national championship after all those heartbreaks. But I mean, they're still going to shit out 25, 26, 27 wins next year. And they're perfect for the Big Ten. They're perfect for the Big Ten.
They are. Paul Loth says Purdue is boring. They are slow and are in trouble.
He said they're not boring.
Yeah, but the back half makes me believe that the not was a typo. They are slow and in trouble. Have you watched Big Ten basketball? Slow is the perfect term. So there's a lot of slow teams in the Big Ten. And Purdue is the cream of the crop. So I'm going with Purdue at number 1.
I think it's a fair pick.
You get 2 picks here on the turn, 2nd and 3rd overall. Go ahead and take your choice.
Yeah, I'll go with the newcomer. I'll go UCLA. I think I think we kind of touch on it in the pre-show, not pre-show, but the beginning of the show, the pros of having Mick Cronin back in his roots with Ohio and Kentucky, where he's coached before. He went to three straight Sweet 16s, including a Final Four. He had been to 10 NCAA tournaments in the last 12 years. Last year was a complete outlier with the young team. They reloaded through the portal. You kind of look at their last 3 years, they're still averaging 25 wins or 24 wins, even with that bad 16 and 17 year. I expect UCLA to be a 25, 26 win team, just like Purdue. And yeah, I think they fit perfectly in the Big Ten with how Cronin wants to play.
Yeah, 100%. Consider me the most fearful of UCLA entering the Big Ten.
And they're an old blue blood, whatever class you want to put that in.
Yeah, they're right there next to Indiana. So,
like they've had recent success. They've been to the Final Four at least. I mean, fucking Indiana's fucking still asleep.
Yeah. Both of them are still looking for national championships to get back in the blue blood relevancy conversations. But yeah, UCLA, Indiana, pretty much hand in hand with they dwell in the past. UCLA has had some recent success that's much better than Indiana, but Indiana, I think a more passionate, more delusional fan base, so it's a little bit louder for me in Big Ten country. We'll see how UCLA fans treat us, but yeah, go ahead with your third overall pick.
So Cronin's a former Hugs guy. Let's go to another former Hugs guy, the Illini. It's hard to argue what the Illini have done over the last couple of years. I mean, they've been really consistent. The big knock on the Illini was that they didn't have the NCAA tournament success. Well, they went to the Elite Eight this year and lost to UConn, just like Purdue. So they've won 2 Big Ten regular season titles. They've won a Big Ten. They've won 2 tournaments. They've won a regular season title as well. Brad Underwood.
They'll say that they had 2 regular season titles because the COVID year took away one of their games, or took away one of Michigan's games, and it didn't get rescheduled in Michigan.
Oh yeah. But I mean, either way, I mean, you look at what they've been able to do over the last 4 or 5 years. They've been really good in the portal era. They can mesh guys in. They've become more offensive compared to how Brad was at Stephen F. and Oklahoma State. So he's really adapted, and his son's on his staff, and you can't argue with the results. 29 wins last year and averaging 24, 25 wins the last 5 years. Illinois is my number 3 pick.
Yeah, I had Illinois number 2 on my big board, and just how Brad's been able to adapt to every single roster that he's had. A lot of them very different styles of ball. Like you look at the Io and Kofi teams, and then it's completely different from some of the booty ball that they've played over the last 2 years. So, he's completely adapted, and he's definitely one of the better X's and O's coaches here in the Big Ten. And they do have a passionate fan base. They're willing to spend in the transfer portal to bring in a lot of these good recruits. And Illinois is built for this kind of era of college sports success.
I know. I think we should pound that home. This is a passionate fan base. I mean, they're psycho too. They're in that Indiana club. I mean, they should be in the national championship every year. Paul asked if Indiana went 2. No, UCLA went 2.
Indiana's going to go number 4th overall. Yeah. For me, this is a pain that you made me take this. But having them fall to this turn, I'm going to go with the Hoosiers. Again, delusional, passionate fan base. Delusional, emphasis on delusional. But their belief in the team and the coach is unlike any other that I've ever seen. Constantly filling in Assembly Hall for mediocre teams. I think it's one of the best home court advantages in the country. I think they'll have a new coach by the end of this 5-year term, but they have shown the willingness and the ability to just spend. So I'm not a huge believer in Woodson, but I think they'll have a new coach pretty soon here, and they're going to be spending up for whoever they're going to want. They're going to have the choice of around the country, a lot of the great options out there. And, you saw what they did in the transfer portal this year. They spent close to $4 to $5 million in transfer portal, on just a couple of guys. So, I'm going to go with the Indiana Hoosiers. at 4th overall. They were number 3 on my big board, with UCLA being 4. So I think 1, 2, 3, 4, I don't think we've missed. You could argue it's just different kind of slots that we've ranked them, but I think that has to be your top 4 in the Big Ten. Mac, how about you?
Yeah, Indiana. I mean, they've invested. They're tired of Purdue fucking beating their ass and being the premier team in Indiana. So the Hoosiers, they're trying to make it a Hoosier state once again and take control of their grassroots. And if Woodson can't get to the tournament, well, actually, not even just get to the tournament. He's got to win in the tournament with how much money they've invested. So any team, any program, school that invests as much as Indiana is investing, they're a top 4 program and job in this league. Easy.
Yep. And 5th overall, this is going to be a little bit of controversial take based on some of my previous takes that I've said on this very show, but I'm going to take Michigan State. I think you've got a very high floor with the Spartans and Tom Izzo. I think Izzo's ultimately on the decline of his coaching career, and I don't know how long he's got. I honestly think he's just going to be a lifer, and he's going to coach until he falls on the floor. But he's got the tournament streak. It might not have that ceiling anymore where he goes to the 3rd weekend to the Final Four. But when you're just looking for winning teams in a very unsteady climate of college sports, Tom Izzo's delivering wins. And he's going to schedule some very fun non-conference games. A lot of these are just he's scheduling just a complete gauntlet for a lot of his teams, and it makes it very fun to watch throughout the entire year. So Michigan State 5th overall. I just think you're constantly going to have some exciting wing come in every single year that you look forward to. They're not going to have the most money to spend in the transfer portal, but they go out and they get Frankie Fiddler this year, and he's going to be a fun, exciting wing. And it just seems like Michigan State's had quite a few guards that have just lived in Big Ten lore. So we're going to go with Michigan State 5th overall. And give me your thoughts on whether you think you agree with my Tom Izzo take, and what you think the ceiling might be if you disagree with that for Michigan State.
I thought you were going to take Michigan over Michigan State. I was going to walk off the show. I was going to like, how dare you take Michigan over Izzo? Yeah, you still got to pay your respect to Izzo. Like
I do. I respect Michigan State. I don't hate Michigan State basketball. I don't hate Michigan State football. It's a respectful rivalry between me and Sparty.
Yeah, I mean, they've been really good for 30 years. I think 5th is kind of a perfect spot for them, where the time is a little bit past for Izzo, but at the same time, him still being a little bit past his A game, his fastball is still pretty damn good. I mean, they go to the tournament year in and year out, so no pushback from me on Izzo. I was going to take Izzo if you didn't take Izzo yourself.
Alrighty, gives me some satisfaction with having to just stab myself with a needle from back-to-back picks, taking Indiana and Michigan State. But you're now on the clock with the 6-7 turn. Sorry, go ahead.
We'll go with Wild Man here. The Must Bus USC. It's
really?
Yeah, I mean, you look at what Andy Enfield did at USC. He was really consistent outside of really last year. I mean, they were a 20+ win team. Now you insert Musselman, who is a proven winner in this era. He had one bad year. I expect him coming in with the chip on his shoulder to be an NCAA tournament year in and year out. And I think what could be good for USC in this league is they're going to be different than everybody. They're not going to play a slow brand of basketball like we're joking around with like Purdue and Wisconsin. USC is going to be different. Press you, athletic. This is more just a bank on Must Bus with a chip on his shoulder, taking over a program that gets players and has resources.
I think I disagree with you on this one. I think this is a bit of a reach. I'd use USC.
Who 10. Are you over? Who's over
what?
them? Who's over them?
I have quite a few. I thought the top 8 were no brainer. Like for me, I thought the top 8 were just no brainers. I filled that in pretty damn quickly. I got USC at 10 on my big board. First, like Muss is a West Coast guy. I don't know how he's going to fit into the Big Ten. Sure, you make the case that maybe different is good, but I've seen different also be really bad in the Big Ten. And also, I don't think this team this year specifically is going to be very good. And like you said, when he doesn't really have the successful seasons, he's rubbing people just the personality. It's going to wear and tear on some. And I just think that Muss isn't going to be long anywhere. And I think this is a little bit of a reach with USC. A little bit.
Keep in mind, Arkansas had not made the dance before Muss got there for.
I'm aware. And they went to
I don't even remember. I mean, it was like a decade or so.
And they went to what? Three Sweet 16s or 3 Elite 8s.
Yeah,
it was one of the two. I respect the track record that he's got 100%. I think it's a little bit of a stretch talking about 5-year success. This is just my take.
That's what he does. 5 years and then he's out. He'll be at another job. He may be retired by then. All right.
I'm
so what do I
selling
got?
stock this year. I don't think this USC team is going to be very.
Well, we're talking 5 years.
I know. I'm just saying, like, you got to build off of something, and I don't know if they're going to be very good this year. I don't know how you're going to be able to build like that, and you're going to convince a lot of California kids to play in the Big Ten. I don't know if that's going to work.
He took 10 to 12 transfers every year at Arkansas.
He's got plenty of transfers this year. I just don't think that this team's going to be very good.
I disagree. It's Muss. All right, let's go.
I've said that before and ate shit last year. They were my preseason national championship pick.
Who was that?
They're Arkansas.
Oh, Arkansas?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why you're bitter.
I don't know if it's bitter. I just don't think USC is going to be a successful basketball program in the Big Ten.
You're going to hate my next pick.
Oh, God.
If we want to talk about boring and just a model of consistency, who's going to get us 22, 23 wins, be right there in the middle?
Iowa.
No, I thought about Iowa.
Okay.
Wisconsin.
I had them in 8th. Like, top 8 was very easy for me.
They're Wisconsin. They're going to be 6, 7 seed. Yeah. Every now and then they'll Greg Gard, they'll get a couple really talented guys like a Johnny Davis, and they'll have a special year. Then probably losing the round of 32 because they're never good as a favorite. But I mean, he runs a good program. They win 20 games almost every year. They're like opposite of USC. USC's a high ceiling, low floor. Wisconsin's not a very high ceiling, but a high floor, kind of like Sparty.
Yeah, I agree with you. I had Wisconsin 8th. I don't. I think Greg Gard is also somebody that his time might be ending soon in Wisconsin, but I also think that Wisconsin's just a really good basketball program. They've gone to a national championship within the last 10 years. So I think the high floor is a great take, and that was exactly going to be my pitch had them falling to me in this next turn, because that's where I would have taken them here. I'm going to go with one pick, and then we're going to hit an ad. That pick is going to be Michigan. I'm getting ADP on my pre-draft rankings. I had Michigan 6th on my big board. And I think you touched on it a little bit earlier with Dusty May. The program that he built at Florida Atlantic was super impressive. That's a basketball program that had no previous success at all once he got there, and he built that thing from the ground up. You look at the specific team that he had for the last 2 years. First off, he was able to recruit a lot of those guys back to the same team to an attempt to go for it again. That was impressive in this landscape of college sports in its own right. But I just think that he's going to also implement a very fun style of basketball that's going to be different from the Big Ten. But it's an offensive style of basketball. And May is a Midwest guy. I think his recruiting chops is going to suit Michigan pretty well here over the next 5 years for sure. When it comes to tournament success, I don't know how much that's going to come, but he took FAU to the Final Four. So I'm going to put my chips in here with Michigan at 8th overall. Give me your quick thoughts, and then we'll take a short break.
Yeah, that's kind of where I had Michigan, middle. he's got his work cut out. It seems like they're investing more with the admissions, not all the limitations that Juwan had. But yeah, I mean, Michigan's a proud program. They've been to 2 national championships just recently with John Beilein.
2013, 2018, I believe.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously the Fab Five, they're a brand name, and the Big Ten needs Michigan to be good in basketball again. It's that shit was awful last year. Like West Virginia, it was awful watching that brand of basketball. So, yeah, Michigan, they'll be a fringe tourney team this year. I think they can flip it in year one and maybe get there. If not, NIT. But yeah, they're headed in the right direction.
Yeah, I think that's perfect. I think you're on the tournament bubble entering the year. And given where this squad was at, just completely lifeless at the end of last year, I'll take it. And I think there's some promise beyond the horizon with Dusty May. Just looking over his 6 years at Florida State, it progressively got so much better until that last year when they had a lot of expectations. They changed conference, so you can understand the slight step back, but they were actually seated higher in the NCAA tournament than they were the previous season when they had the 35-3 record or whatever it was. So yeah, we're going to take it.
Just how corrupt the selection committee is. Like, how are they ahead of where they were when they were like 35-2?
So stupid. We're going to take a slight break and then we'll continue up with the draft right after this. If you're betting on player props, then you need to download Rhythm. Rhythm is the go-to sports betting tool that transforms complex data into actionable insights, empowering bettors with smarter data-driven decisions. Unlike other platforms, Rhythm combines advanced predictive analytics with an intuitive user experience, making betting both easy and enjoyable. Rhythm's predictive models were born from the brains of MIT data scientists and quants with over 3 years of data to help you make better AI-backed betting decisions. Rhythm projections have been red hot for WNBA and golf. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. Okay, we're back here on the college basketball experience. Noah Bieniek joined alongside Moneyline Mac, Ryan McIntyre, former assistant coach, video coordinator for Frank Martin and
Whatever
Bob
the hell you want
Huggins. and we are 8 picks through the 18 pick draft of Big Ten teams based on our predictive success they'll have over the next 5 years. And recap, as we've kind of hit the halfway point here, 8 picks, halfway point 9. But number 1 overall, I took Purdue. Then I have 4th overall, Indiana. 5th overall, Michigan State. 8th overall, Michigan. Mac went with UCLA 2nd overall, Illinois 3rd, USC 6th, and Wisconsin 7th overall. 9th overall, I'm going to go with, you're forcing me to just take needles and stick them right through my eyeballs. Ohio State. I'm going to go with another.
Michigan should be side by side. I agree with you.
Yeah, I'm going to go with another school that has had some recent very good success in college basketball. Ohio State, a couple of title game appearances, and the Buckeyes are willing to spend as well. And they are a team that's going to be really good in the transfer portal era, I believe. This year is a little bit of a unique year where they're trying to just keep everybody together and run it back. I don't know how that's going to work with Jake Diebler. And I do believe that if Diebler is not the answer, they'll be able to figure that out pretty quickly. And once again, go to market, look for a head coach that's at the top of the market. And I think ultimately they might be kicking themselves a little bit based on the carousel just completely was grabbed by a giant like world's strongest man and just gripped and spun 10 times as hard after they had gotten in bed with Jake Diebler. And I think they're kicking themselves after that. And we'll find out how good Diebler is after 1 or 2 years. And if they were to go to market, I think they will be able to grab a great head coach. And in the transfer portal era, Ohio State's a very attractive program. But also, like, they have had some very fun guards style of play wise over the last couple of years. And if they just have the right man at the head coaching position. I don't know if that was truly the issue. We'll find out soon. But Ohio State is I can't say anything else good. You have to go.
Ohio State's a good job. I mean, it's they've had basketball success. I mean, you look at Holtman, you look at Thad Matta. I know the Holtman era didn't end well, but Thad Matta was really good there for about 20 years. They played for a national championship at one point. They've been to a Final Four, Sweet 16s, and obviously they got a lot of money as well. So they're gonna have a talented roster year in and year out. So yeah, I mean it's the Buckeyes, and it's kind of like the Michigan job where you can kind of fly under the radar a little bit until
January.
Yeah, until January. So it's a nice job. All right.
So you're next up in the 5th round here, 10th overall. Who are you going to select?
This is a perfect spot for Oregon. This is a nice spot for Dana Altman. Right around that 10-11, sneak in the dance, and then he makes magic happen. But you can't really rank them higher than this because they have missed the big dance 2 out of the last 3 years, but it's not like they're bad. I mean, it's 20 wins, 21 wins.
And the core that they've had lately, just boatloads of injuries.
Yeah, I don't know how good he is in the portal era. It seems like kind of like Izzo, they've kind of leveled off a little bit, but their leveling off is lower than the level of Tom Izzo and Sparty. But I know what I'm going to get with Altman. He's going to find a way to win 18 to 22 games, and if he's got a really good group, they can make some magic in March and go on a run. So give me Oregon over the next 5 years at number 10.
Yeah, I had Oregon 9th on my big board, so I thought they fell right in this range. And they're also another program that sneakily has quite a bit of money and some good attraction for recruits with the whole Nike brand. And Phil Knight on his way out, it's reported that he's willing to do a lot for some success in sports. So yeah, I got no issues. Actually, I had USC at 10, so it opened up an extra spot for me to grab somebody a little bit higher than Oregon at my pick, or else I would have taken the Ducks. But go ahead with 11th overall to start off the 6th round.
So I'm gonna buy stock on the trajectory of this program, and because I think this guy can coach in the portal era. I think Fred Hoiberg in Nebraska. Yeah. I just think I think he can relate, and he can have a new roster year in and year out. The last 2 years have been fun in this new portal era with Tominaga, bringing in other guys from different programs, meshing them. Last year, they get back to the dance for the first time in a decade. I don't think it's a one-hit wonder. I think that they're going to continue to build this thing at Nebraska like he did at Iowa State. So give me Nebraska heading this thing in the right direction at number 11.
Yep, I had Nebraska at 12. Totally agree. I think there's a lot of program momentum, and I think Hoiberg, it took him some time, but I think he's really gonna, take this basketball program. And Nebraska is another rabid fan base, just looking for any athletic success. Their volleyball team grabbed a lot of attention last year, and the basketball team's success kind of jumped into the spotlight after that season, especially. So I like Nebraska at this spot specifically. The one team that I had ranked above them, I'm going to take them 12th overall. I had them 11th on my big board. I'm going with Northwestern, buying some stock in this basketball program as well. Built the new basketball stadium or basketball arena. Sorry, Welsh Ryan Arena is really built a home court advantage that I think is still so underrated by a lot of media and basketball fans and teams. And Northwestern over the last 2 years has been tremendous at home. And I did dock them a little bit because they're now not going to have Boo Buie. And he was a transcendent, program superstar going to be in the rafters sooner than later for the Wildcats, led their program all time in scoring. And I just think that Chris Collins is a good coach, and they've built something that they knew that they had one of the weaker home environments, and he designed this arena to really kind of beef that up. And I think that's huge compared to a lot of the other teams that are remaining on the big board here. Your thoughts here as I take Northwestern 12th overall.
Yeah, I didn't have him this high, but I mean, I like Collins. I do agree with your point about we'll see how he is life without Boo Booey. But I mean, they had not been to an NCAA tournament before Chris Collins got there. He goes to the first ever tourney in 2017. Hopefully they don't have
now.
Yeah, hopefully they don't have the dip though that they had from like 18 to 22 because this is such a hard fucking job. But what he's been able to do there has been remarkable. I mean, he's the greatest coach ever in program history.
Yep. I think if they truly wanted to, they could have him for as long as they want. This is tough. I'm between two. Next up, I'm going to go with another really good home court environment. I'm going to go with Rutgers.
Rack.
Yeah. I think this is very tough because I think Steve Peichel is in a make or break year. He's got this tremendous recruiting class coming in. He's got I think they're 2 top 5 prospects in Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have a center that has had good college experience and production. Cliff Omarui transferred to Alabama. One glaring hole on the 2024-25 roster. And if you're judging Rutgers off of that and you want to have it higher, that's my question mark. And I do think that, like, if it's not going to be this year for Peichel, when is it going to be? And I just think that they're constantly going to be the thorn in the side for a lot of teams when they get to Piscataway. But on the road, Rutgers hasn't really been too much in the Big Ten to handle. And I don't know what the ceiling is for this program if Peichel doesn't get it done this year. If they have a tremendous year, my stance on this very well could change, and this is a great value pick here at 13th overall. But I think that Rutgers, looking forward over the next 5 years, I think there are some doubts in the horizon, to say the least. Mac, how about you?
I think we've seen the ceiling with Rutgers. I think we got to remember how bad they were when he got there. I mean, his rebuilding job is one of the better ones and more underrated ones in the country. They were the worst job by far at this point. In 2015, 2016, when he took over. I worry in this with the way the portal's going, they're more of a developmental program. Get guys in, get old, and then be tough as shit and win games that way.
It's just tough when you lose one of them.
Exactly. Like, are they going to be able to sustain guys? I don't think so. That's why I think we may have seen the ceiling where they were the 4 seed in the Big Ten the one year, and like a 7, 8, 9 seed in the NCAA tournament. I mean, I think this is where Rutgers is. They're never gonna be horrible with Peichel because Peichel's such a good coach, but I just don't think that you can really project. Like, I know that they're going to be talented this year, but I don't think they're going to be a top 4 team. They're Rutgers. I mean, they're just going to be tough, win their home games at the rack, and then not be a good road team.
Yeah, and I forgot about this name too. The under the radar transfer loss as well was Mawat Mag. So just completely rebuilding the front court. And I don't know how
the NIL.
Yeah, I don't know how good they will be in retaining talent. And if Peichel continue to be able to recruit at the level that he just brought in the recruiting class this year, maybe. But yeah, that's a big question mark here as they enter the 2024-25 season. Mac, 14th overall. Who you got?
So who we got left? We got Maryland, Iowa,
Washington, Iowa, Minnesota, Penn State.
Well, I think the next 2 picks are actually pretty clear. You got to still take Iowa and respect what Fran McCaffrey's done. I mean, you could make an argument that Iowa is headed in the wrong direction in this portal era. They really peaked there between 19 and 22 when they won 23, 22, 26 wins. Last 2 years, they failed to hit 20 wins. But McCaffrey, he seems to always find a way to hover around that 500 mark in Big Ten play. So give me Iowa. This is I don't know what just happened. Can you hear me?
Yeah, your camera's turned off though. We've got your professional headshot. There we go. You're back.
I think I hit the wrong button or something. I don't know what the fuck.
You were. I don't know, but now you're
anyway,
on. There you go.
There you go. I'm back better than ever. Leg show cut my fucking cut my connection, I think. But yeah, I mean McCaffrey, they're kind of like Rutgers in a way. Like they're just gonna be good at home. They're gonna win 17, 18, 19 wins in this new era. But yeah. I think their better days are in the past. McCaffrey's an older school coach, obviously. So yeah, give me Iowa at number 14 over the next 5 years. Next 5 years, guys. This isn't next year. Iowa could finish 7th or 8th next year. We're talking about the next 5 years. So give me Iowa.
Yeah, Iowa is a team that I think the decline is on the way if it hasn't already hit. McCaffrey has been a great coach. Traditionally, just develops a star. Over the last half decade, he has developed a star over there in Iowa, and Carver Hawkeyes a great home court advantage as well. I think that the doubt comes in with how well they can utilize the transfer portal, 1, and 2, retain talent, 2. They've done that recently, but are they going to be able to continue to do that is a question mark. And when you're talking about now including a UCLA, a USC, and also some other more attractive destinations in the Big Ten, they just are climbing an uphill battle when it comes to recruiting in the Big Ten. So yeah, we've got a couple of people. Like, I don't know how Iowa at 14 can be a huge reach. There's only 4 teams remaining. I think this is a great spot for Iowa.
Paul says we had him too low.
Yeah, and Paul says that Iowa's tough and they're too low here. But yeah, he's also saying look at Kirk Ferentz. Like,
yeah, Fred McCaffrey's at Kirk Ferentz.
Yeah, like consistent, you could say, but like I don't think that they are quite to the level of the football team where they continue to just overachieve expectation because the media doubts them performing at the level every single year. But they also did benefit from a much weaker football division as well. So I'm interested to see how Iowa does this year.
I think last year's Iowa basketball is kind of the future of Iowa basketball. The 19 wins with the NIT. They're not a bad program, but they're not a great program.
I agree. And I also think that like Iowa's going to be right in the middle every single year. Not a high ceiling, but also not one of the highest, but they have a good floor. And you look at the Iowa team, are they bringing back Sanford? Because I know they have the center, Owen Freeman, right? So I know they're not going to be the worst team overall next year. Yeah, Owen Freeman and Peyton Sanford do return for this season. So they should be interesting and frisky, but how good over the next 5 years, I don't know if their ceiling's higher than a lot of the other picks.
Agreed. And DB Cooper, you have not missed Washington. They're still on the board. So that's why I'm talking that. Yeah, no, I mean, next year is 25% of my equation, maybe 30%. I'm projecting 3 to 4 years, and then a 5th year's a cherry on top. So,
correct.
So the next one, this team should be higher on the list, to be honest. But they dropped from 5th to 11th from his first to second year.
Yeah.
Maryland is a sleeping giant. I mean, they're in the DMV. They've actually, Big Ten wise, had the last national championship.
Yeah. Wait.
Maryland,
what year?
2002.
Yeah, they do.
Maryland is a proud basketball program, and really the worst thing they ever did was leave the ACC. And I hate the ACC, but I grew up watching the ACC with Maryland in there. They lost their identity. They lost their
killed their passionate fan base.
They and Duke fucking hated each other. Them and Carolina hated each other. Them and Virginia. this is where conference expansion realignment killed a great basketball program like Maryland with Gary Williams. Grew up going to camp there. But Willard, I mean, that was a bad year last year. I know that they
totally just groundbreaking expectations. Like, just they were supposed to be a top 4 team last year, entering the Big Ten preseason. They were a bottom 4 team.
vibes. I have Turgeon vibes is what I have, and that's just not going to get it done at Maryland. Maryland should be in the top half of this league. They should be. They're in the DMV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I think of Maryland and their program and them being a sleeping giant, I just think of, how they probably think they were backstabbed. UCLA comes to College Park. What was this? 2023 now. Place was absolutely packed, rabid. One of the best home environments they've had in the last 2 decades. And they got stomped. Like, absolutely ran off the floor just 10 minutes into the game. And they haven't been the same since.
I will say they did beat UCLA at UCLA last year, at least. So they got the revenge on the game. Yeah. But Maryland did win an NCAA tournament game 2 years ago. They fucking beat West Virginia.
Yeah.
But
I remember that. I was with you with that one.
Yeah. But Maryland should be in the dance every year. Maryland should be advancing in the dance every year. And it's kind of a shame that this program is kind of just been very mediocre. I mean, it was like Turgeon. They would go to the round of 32 every 2-3 years, but they couldn't get to where they were with Gary. With Gary Williams, they were in the second weekend, Final Four, and they have money too. So it's been puzzling that Maryland cannot get the right guy in there and build a consistent winner again.
I think I agree with John Doe on this one. I think Maryland does have a slightly better, brighter future than Iowa basketball does. I had Maryland 14th on my big board. Iowa 16. But yeah, I'm right there every step of the way with Maryland.
I had to pay a little respect to what McCaffrey's done over the last 6 years, just getting to 5 tournaments in 6 years. So it was a little bit of a tip of the cap, and Maryland just completely being awful last year.
And development. Like, he's had a true star in pretty much every single season. So it's hard to do at Iowa. 16th overall, I'm going to take Washington. I don't know if they are quite the sleeping giant that Maryland is per se, but Washington does have money. They do have a passionate football fan base. If you get a winning program into Seattle to compete with Gonzaga, that would be super, super fun. But that's the elephant in the room is Gonzaga has stolen a lot of not only homegrown, but Gonzaga is also killing it just all over in recruiting, and they just haven't been able to catch up. And that's kind of killing the Huskies. Washington at 16th overall. I think it's fitting. I do think that Danny Sprinkle is interesting as a head coaching hire, and he's won everywhere he's been, Montana State, Utah State, but both of those jobs have been, pretty friendly to head coaches over the years. And I just think that you look at some of the other jumps that former Utah State head coaches have made, VCU, Utah, Washington's the biggest one. Washington into the Big Ten is huge compared to, in my opinion, 1 year at the Mountain West and 4 at the Big Sky. So I'm going to doubt the hire a little bit. And I got kicked in the nuts doubting it last year with Utah State in the Mountain West. But I think this is very reasonable to have Washington State near the basement in the Big Ten. So Washington 16th.
You got double. Who you taking? Who you leaving me with?
Yeah, I was just giving you a chance if you wanted to rebuttal or add info or analysis there.
No, I mean, we talked at Washington at length at the start. It's an uphill battle. They got to rebuild their brand because it's kind of been shitty recently.
Yeah. 17 or 18, Minnesota or Penn State. These are two very unattractive programs right now.
One has a decent home court, though.
I think it's so overrated. I think the barn is so overrated, but you have Penn
But for a
State.
17 seed, I mean, it's a good home court.
Yeah, sure. And Penn State, rabid, passionate fan base, they just don't show up for basketball. So
Yeah,
they're
they don't show
another one
up
of
at
these. They're
Yeah.
another one of these like teams where if you can tap into some program success, there's
Yep.
something there. And I'm gonna end up going with Penn State here at this spot. I do believe in Mike Rhodes, where I believe that he's 17th and not like 6th is that he's a very defensive minded head coach, and it's just very vanilla in a Big Ten basketball conference overall. But I think that his style of coaching has worked in previous destinations. You'd cross your fingers that it will work. And Penn State's got like I said, the fan base that if they do build a winner, it would slightly be higher for me than Minnesota. And I'm going to leave you the Golden Gophers at 18th overall.
Yeah. I mean, I like Mike Rhodes too. He's got his work cut out for him. It's not a passionate fan base. He did take over for Shrewsbury, who got to the dance.
I don't know if I would say it's not a passionate fan base, though. Like it is. We know it is.
Though,
but basketball, it's not.
Care. Yeah.
You just got to tap into it. Like if you
Yeah.
can, then there you go. But yeah.
Could we make the argument for the guy at number 18 that maybe he should have won Big Ten Coach of the Year last year?
Ben Johnson's an incredible coach. I just think you look at the team, he could have retained a lot of the guys, and the team completely fell apart around Dawson Garcia. Once again, Dawson Garcia comes back, but he's got nobody with him.
Yeah. Hawkins goes to Texas Tech. The big fella goes to where did
the
Payne
team
go?
Got completely ravaged. Like they overachieved expectations last year, and they weren't able to retain the talent. And if you're not able to keep that team, Pharrell Payne, Mike Mitchell, Cam Christie goes to the NBA draft, I believe.
Where did Payne go? Why am I drawing a blank? Did he went to an SEC school, didn't he?
We're going to copy and paste his name from this roster.
While you're looking it up, Ben Johnson did an unbelievable job last year. From 9 wins to 19 at Minnesota.
Texas A&M.
Oh, yeah, he did. Yeah, he was in the SEC. But it's hard to sustain success there, man. They don't pay really that well compared to these other Big Ten schools. And I disagree with Noah that the barn's overrated. I like the barn. It's just that they've been bad for so long now. If they could get more competitive year in and year out, get that barn shaking again. Love the floor, or love the benches below the floor. It's unique. Not like Vandy unique, but this is a different kind of unique. You notice how the benches below the floor are always like the last rated team in our league. Vandy, Minnesota.
Vandy's benches aren't below the floor; they're just on the baseline.
Yeah. Sorry. The students are below the floor. It makes no sense. But Minnesota a great year last year. I kind of think that they're going to regress and win like 12 games next year. And that puts Ben Johnson right back on the hot seat, which is kind of sucks for him, but
it does because I think he showed some really good coaching chops last year. Like I respect him now.
Tubby Smith, the last guy to get to the tournament there, right? Well, I guess Richard Pitino did 1 year.
Yeah. But yeah, that's tough. Tough place to win right now, currently, just with the landscape of how it is. Minnesota just and not many in any sports are they really kind of spending up to compete.
What's a better job, New Mexico or Minnesota? I think New Mexico.
Yeah, I think it's New Mexico. I think it is.
If you're giving me my pick, I mean, I know you make more money in Minnesota. I'm taking the New Mexico job over fucking Minnesota. Go coach at the pit where it's packed every night, and you're gonna be.
You're kind of the king of the town too.
Yeah, you're the king of the town, and you're in a top 2, top 3 job in a league that's a 5-bid league now, year in and year out.
Yeah, I will give them this, and the chat's been absolutely rolling for this episode. Love it. DB Cooper says the Gophers mascot's top 10 nationally. I'll give you that for sure.
I love this
on the unique rating there, and they are pretty high up on my big board on team rebuilds in college football 25. Like just because of the color scheme and the mascot, and John Doe, Paul Loth, just 12:30 a.m. Eastern throughout the preseason. This is deep preseason. This is July. Shout out to Leg Show Magazine, Dick Trickle. Who else do we have in here at the very beginning? David Matola. So great episode here. I will say that I'm looking forward to the Big Ten this year. I think that the floor is going to be up. I don't know if we have the title contenders that a lot of other conferences do, but I do think that this is going to be a very hectic season this year. You've said this in years past, and I didn't quite agree with it, but I think this year, more than any, without like the top tier teams, it's going to be hard to win on the road.
Yeah. Like you said, you don't have like the tier one, like the Big 12 does with like 4 out of the top 6 or whatever it is. But it's going to be a gauntlet. I mean, are you even able to play anybody twice anymore? Barely.
I don't know. Listen to you guys. You don't have round robin schedule either anymore.
I know it sucks. That was what was so great about the Big 12 is you could play everybody twice. You get a true champion. That's why the Mountain West is so great is you get to play everybody twice and you get that true champion. So
Big East too. I believe Big East has
a true champion. Yeah. I'll tell you what else is nice is because the presidential election is, I think, the day after the start of college basketball, they have the ticker on how many days till the election. So just subtract 1, and that means countdown days till college basketball starts. So we're at 1:15 until college basketball starts. So
dear Lord,
it's sooner than you guys think. It'll be here before you guys know it.
Yeah, recap the drafting teams real quick. Team Noah, number 1 overall, we had Purdue. 4th, we had Indiana. 5th, we had Michigan State. 8th, Michigan. 9th, Ohio State. 12th, Northwestern. 13th, Rutgers. 15th, Washington. 17th, Penn State. Then for Mac, he took UCLA 2nd overall. Illinois was 3rd. USC was 6th. Wisconsin 7th. Oregon 10th. Nebraska at 11th. Iowa 14th. Maryland 15th. Minnesota 18th. And that's going to wrap up today's Big Ten realignment show. Very fun episode. Very longer than we kind of expected, but just love this style of show for preseason talk. Personally, I'm still running things over at the College Baseball Experience, MLB Draft July 14th, but also we'll be doing a lot of off-season news, transfer portal, coaching carousel updates, as long as, it keeps kicking. Won't go too far into the off-season like we will with college basketball, but still some fun stuff over there. Colby's previewing all 134 FBS college football teams with the College Football Experience. Mac is doing a very fun one here on the College Basketball Experience, interviewing a lot of mid-major coaches with the Summer School Coaches Tour. And check out the Sports Gambling Podcast. And all 3 of the TCE shows are together as one on YouTube. Mac, anything else that you'd like to finish up today's show with?
No, I mean, it's exciting. We got, I think, how many more conferences do we have? This is our 4th one that we've knocked out.
6 more.
6 more. Yeah. And then, I mean, like you said, we'll start a new series after this one. You guys will have to turn on your notifications to find out what that series is. And then we'll have conference previews before you know it. I mean, with 32 leagues, you got to start it somewhat early, earlier time frame. But yeah, go check out those coaching interviews, our summer coaches tour on the College Basketball Experience. I'm telling you, one of these guys, a couple of these guys are going to be coaching in the dance next year. Then next thing you know, you're going to look up and they're going to be a Power 4 or 5, whatever it's called now. I don't know. What are we, P5 still? Power 5 basketball, Power 4 football?
Yeah, just call it all high major.
high major. So, yeah, really cool. But we could only do it with you guys, our audience. Like you said, a certain amount of all these people in the chat tonight. It's July 12th. We're still 115 days out from the season, and you guys are rocking with us. So, subscribe, like, tell a friend, tell your cousin, tell your mother, tell your cousin's mother, tell all your friends over at the College Experience. He is at Noah B77_. I'm at Moneyline_Mac. We are the College Basketball Experience. You better start thinking about yours. And we are out of here. Enjoy your weekends.